Are turning our attention now to another controversial Minnesota Democrat who's doing all he can to keep both his state and its capital city safe as highly destructive anti-ICE demonstrations, they continue to rock the entire area. Right now, Governor Tim Walz has taken his foot off the gas pedal and striking a much more conciliatory approach after holding a lengthy phone call with President Trump, during which they both agreed to handle things much differently moving forward. Walz says there's definitely been what he calls a change of tone following the recent tragic killing of protester Alex Preddy, and that as a result, they both agreed to work together in a much more collaborative manner in the days and weeks ahead. Additionally, he says that in a gesture of goodwill, the president has already agreed to reduce the number of ICE agents who are operating in the Twin Cities area, as well as to allow Minnesota authorities to conduct their own independent investigations all into the recent shootings of protesters, which have shocked, as you know, our entire nation. Furthermore, Walz goes on to accuse Trump of being absolutely horrified by the recent shooting. He also says that 47 has finally come to his senses and is beginning to understand what's going on in the Twin Cities area, and that despite significant reservations, they both seem to be on their way to some sort of a mutual agreement to do the right thing when it comes to the future treatment of criminal immigrants. However, the governor also takes several pointed jabs at the president, claiming that perhaps he's been forced to come crawling to the negotiating table because of bad polling numbers, or even that he's possibly maybe suffering from a guilty conscience. Walz also claims he reassured the president that moving forward, his administration is willing to work alongside federal authorities to help coordinate their immigration enforcement efforts, including by honoring ICE detainers concerning criminals already in state custody. Now, for his part, President Trump surprisingly agrees with Walz, saying the two men had a pretty good conversation and that they actually seem to be on a similar wavelength. Also says that thanks to his administration's efforts, crime in Minnesota already way down, but that moving forward, they both agreed to make it even better. And final thought, and this is the News Roundup Lowdown. Now look, I'm no bowling genius, but I've spent a couple of Friday nights at the local bowling alley, the old Bowlorama, and here's what the regulars tell me. Getting that ball to spin and spin well takes a great deal of practice. Same, I think, for ping pong, also for tennis, billiards, and a bunch of activities. You know, in politics, achieving a spin can also be mildly complicated. But for the failed governor of Minnesota, that guy Tim Walz, a state mired in billions of dollars in fraud, the spin seems to come pretty easy. That the president of the United States has taken the high road by extending an olive branch to a guy who's going to be unemployed come November. It's proof that the grown-up in the room is in the White House, while a good chunk of the country wants to see Governor Walz in the big house. In fact, we're getting hundreds and hundreds of comments daily from people wanting to know when they're going to slap the cuffs on the aging governor, the one they call Time's Up Tim. And I think he'd look real dapper in that orange getup in jail, maybe some handcuffs, maybe a mugshot. Yeah, Time's Up Tim. Here's the big Walz spin. He claims the president agreeing to consider reducing the number of federal agents in the Twin Cities was based on perhaps morality or bad optics and poll numbers. No, sir, Mr. Walz, none of the above. The Trump administration is fully committed to law and order, to finding, detaining, and deporting illegal immigrants nationwide. The administration also knows full well that because of failed and corrupt leadership in Minnesota, your state, their efforts are being compromised, and perhaps in the interest of public safety, a temporary course correction will be put in place. Oh, by the way, Trump and company haven't forgotten about that reported $9 billion worth of fraud in your state, Minnesota. Just pointing that out, Governor Walz. And moving forward, go easy on the spin. You know, without proper training, you might actually hurt your wrist, or maybe even, thinking out loud, sprain your tongue. Hey, Bill Thomas here. If you like what you see, be sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon. And don't forget to check out our channel, News Roundup with Bill Thomas. And that's where you can catch our full program and more videos. And we'll see you right back here next time.